Aircraft carriers are massive warships that serve as mobile airbases at sea, with large flight decks and amenities for storing, equipping, launching, and retrieving aircraft. These warships, which resemble small cities, are precisely engineered to accommodate aircraft operations, demanding enormous lengths to permit the safe landing and takeoff of planes. And therefore, here are the longest Navy ships ever built in the world. Number 10. Kuznetsov-class aircraft carrying cruiser. With a length measuring 999 feet or 304.5 meters, the Kuznetsov-class aircraft carrying cruiser ranks as the 10th longest naval vessel globally. Known under Project 1143.5 designation, this class of Stobar aircraft carriers is utilized by both the Russian and Chinese navies, but initially intended for the Soviet Navy. These ships feature a ski jump for launching high-performance jet aircraft and arrestor gears for landing, making a significant advancement over the Kiev-class carriers that lacked full-length decks and could only launch short takeoff aircraft. They are classified as heavy aircraft carrying cruisers, not as aircraft carriers to allow them to navigate the Turkish Straits in compliance with the Montreux Convention. However, the Chinese variants are officially designated as aircraft carriers. Its expansive flight deck spans a total area of 158,000 square feet, or 14,700 square meters, and can accommodate 30 to 50 aircraft. 3 of these vessels were constructed at a cost ranging from $1.2 billion to $13 billion, with 2 currently in active service with the Chinese Navy and 1 inactive in Russia. Number 9. Midway-class aircraft carrier. The Midway-class aircraft carriers were a class of 3 United States Navy carriers that were commissioned in the late 1940s and served during the Cold War era. Named in honor of the pivotal Battle of Midway from World War II, the class included the USS Midway, USS Franklin D. Roosevelt, and USS Coral Sea. These carriers boasted a length of 305 meters, or 1,001 feet, and had the capacity to accommodate up to 130 aircraft of 1940s models and 65 to 70 aircraft of 1980s models. They hold the distinction of being one of the longest-serving ship classes. In the 1960s, a modernization effort was undertaken, with a budget of $82 million allocated for the project. However, the actual cost escalated to $202 million. Number 8. Shandong aircraft carrier. Measuring 315 meters or 1,033 feet in length, the Shandong ranks as the 8th longest naval ship globally. This Chinese aircraft carrier was launched in 2017 and was built for the People's Liberation Army Navy of the People's Republic of China. It is the nation's first domestically constructed aircraft carrier, and the second in planned service. Following the completion and commissioning of the Liaoning, from which it draws its lineage, the Shandong's class was officially revealed as Type 002 during its commissioning ceremony. The class is designated with the NATO reporting name Kuznetsov Mod, as its design represents a modified version akin to the Kuznetsov-class aircraft carrier originally crafted for the Soviet Navy. The Shandong retains the ski jump takeoff system, limiting its air wing to helicopters and Shenyang J-15 fighter jets from the People's Liberation Army Navy Air Force. The vessel is propelled by conventional oil-fired boilers driving 8 steam turbines derived from the Soviet-designed examples on the Liaoning. It has a displacement of approximately 55,000 metric tons, with the capacity to carry up to 44 aircraft, and it incurred an estimated cost of $4.5 billion for the Chinese government. Number 7. Fujian aircraft carrier. Measuring 316 meters or 1,037 feet in length, Fujian is the 3rd aircraft carrier in China's aircraft carrier program and represents the inaugural vessel of the Type 003 class. Constructed by the Zhongyuan Shipyard for the People's Liberation Army Navy, it was launched in 2022 and is currently undergoing the fitting-out process. Distinguished as China's first catapult-assisted takeoff barrier arrested recovery aircraft carrier featuring a wholly indigenous design and an integrated propulsion system, Fujian deviates from the sky-jump flight decks observed in previous Chinese aircraft carriers. The carrier showcases 3 electromagnetic catapults, positioned as 2 on the bow deck and 1 along the aft port, leading towards the angled landing deck exit. It is speculated to be armed with integral defensive weaponry located on side platforms beneath the flight deck, encompassing air defense missile pods and close-in weapon systems. Number 6. USS John F. Kennedy Aircraft Carrier. The USS John F. Kennedy was the sole vessel of its class and previously classified as a supercarrier belonging to the Kitty Hawk class variant. It was the final conventionally powered carrier constructed for the Navy, with subsequent carriers adopting nuclear propulsion. Spanning a length of 321 meters or 1,053 feet, it could accommodate over 80 aircraft and a crew of more than 5,000. However, after nearly 4 decades of service, it was decommissioned in 2007, paving the way for its successor, the Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carrier. Number 5. Forrestal-class aircraft carrier. In the 1950s, the United States Navy commissioned and constructed 4 huge aircraft carriers known as the Forrestal class. These carriers were named in honor of James Forrestal, the inaugural United States Secretary of Defense. Pioneering the era of supercarriers, the Forrestal class introduced a combination of substantial tonnage, deck-edge elevators, and an angled deck. The first vessel of this class entered service in 1955, and the last was decommissioned in 1998. Boasting a length of 326.10 meters or 1,069.9 feet, these carriers featured the most spacious hangar decks and largest flight decks ever built at the time of their commissioning. Due to their considerable size, they were constructed with a novel, deep-hulled design that incorporated an armored flight deck. Number 4. Kitty Hawk-class aircraft carrier. The Kitty Hawk-class supercarriers of the United States Navy represented a step forward from the Forrestal-class vessels, with 3 being constructed in the 1960s. While maintaining similarities with the Forrestal class, these ships surpassed them in length, measuring 332 meters or 1,089 feet, and had a displacement of 84,914 tons, enabling them to carry up to 90 aircraft. These carriers served for several decades, with the USS Kitty Hawk undergoing a substantial overhaul in the late 80s at a cost of $785 million as part of the service life extension. Regrettably, all 3 carriers are no longer in service, with 2 being scrapped and the remaining ones sunk. Number 3. Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. The Nimitz-class aircraft carrier remains the focal point of forward operating forces and is pivotal during times of crisis, often being the first consideration for leaders. These carriers held the title of the largest warships ever constructed until the commissioning of the USS Gerald R. Ford in 2017. With a complement of over 6,000 personnel, including both crew and aircrew, the carrier boasts a displacement of 102,000 tons and a flight deck length of 332.9 meters or 1,091.9 feet. Diverging from the propulsion systems of many contemporary warships, the Nimitz-class carriers employ 2 A4W pressurized water reactors instead of gas turbines or diesel-electric systems. These reactors drive 4 propeller shafts, enabling the carriers to achieve a maximum speed exceeding 30 knots and generate a peak power of around 260,000 shaft horsepower. The utilization of nuclear power allows these ships to operate continuously for over 20 years without refueling, and they are projected to have a service life exceeding 50 years. A total of 10 Nimitz-class aircraft carriers have been constructed at a unit cost of $10 billion each, and these carriers have the capacity to accommodate and launch 90 fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters. Number 2. Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carrier. The Gerald R. Ford-class nuclear-powered aircraft carriers are presently under construction for the United States Navy, with plans to acquire a total of 10 to replace existing carriers on a one-for-one basis. These new vessels share a hull design similar to the Nimitz class, but incorporate advanced technologies, including the electromagnetic aircraft launch system and other design features aimed at enhancing efficiency and reducing operational costs, including the ability to operate with smaller crews. Measuring 337 meters or 1,106 feet in length and possessing a displacement of 94,781 tons, these carriers have the capacity to carry over 75 aircraft. Currently, one aircraft carrier is in service, with 3 more under construction, and an additional 10 planned for future construction at a unit cost of $13 billion each. Number 1. USS Enterprise. With an impressive length of 342 meters or 1,123 feet, the USS Enterprise held the distinction of being the world's longest naval ship. Commissioned by the U.S. Navy in November 1961, it was not only recognized as the first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, but also claimed the title of the largest active warship globally at that time. Originally designed for a 25-year service life, the USS Enterprise exceeded expectations due to meticulous maintenance and proper upkeep, ultimately serving for over 55 years before its official decommissioning in 2017. With a substantial displacement of 94,781 tons, it ranks as the 3rd largest carrier class, following the Nimitz class and the Gerald R. Ford class. The USS Enterprise accommodated a crew of approximately 4,600 service members and had the capability to house an impressive fleet of 90 aircraft.